following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Hangin With the Boys.
Blowing out of the backfield, exploding down the sideline.
This is Hangin' With the Boys, broadcasting live from Dallas Cowboys World Headquarters at the Star in Frisco. Now, your hosts, Nate Newton, Kurt Daniels, and Shannon Gross.
Boy, have we got a treat for the listeners today. Normally, I would check in to see how you guys were doing, what you thought about the draft, but we have such a special guest that he probably doesn't have much free time these days, or maybe he does have a lot of free time now that a big chunk of his job has been put to bed. Let's welcome to the show Chris Hall, Assistant Director of College Scouting. How are you, Chris?
I'm good. How are you guys doing this morning?
We're doing great, man. You've been on the show, this will be your third time, I think?
I think so.
Yeah?
Sounds about right.
Talk a little rock music, talk a little football. But today, we want to talk about a little thing that happened over the weekend because you're in the big room with the big
right
boys.
There. It's like Jones family, Will McClay, Chris Hall.
Not the Battle of Winterfell?
Did you watch it?
Of course.
Nate, did you side-eye it last night?
What's that?
Game of Thrones?
Don't
spoil it.
Let's go draft.
Okay.
All
right.
I got a lot to say about it. Let's go draft.
All right.
And then we'll get into that.
Fair enough.
Let's go draft first because I got a lot to say about that.
Hey, by the way, Nate doesn't watch the show, but he knows everything that goes on the show. Yeah.
I like it.
So Chris, tell everybody, if they haven't listened to us while you're on the show before, tell us what you do on actual draft day, and then tell us what you do that leads up to draft.
Gotcha. So I'm the Assistant Director of College Scouting, and my main role is really just trying to keep everything organized, our college scouting, as we get through the whole process of the draft, which for us will start in a couple of weeks with a new meeting at the end of May to get next year's prospects. But I kind of manage all that information, manage our scouting staff, do a little bit of scouting myself. And then as we get into the spring, coordinate the pro days, the combine, the all-star games, make sure we're getting our coverage right at all that. And then just kind of help run and organize our meetings as we build our draft board and put everything together in there. We've got the greatest director in the world in Will that does an amazing job of facilitating everything. We've got a fantastic scouting staff that does an unbelievable job and puts in untold hours on the road, at home, in front of TV screens, watching tape, watching practice that helps build this whole process. And there's a lot of unsung heroes in that room that put together a great package of information that allows our ownership to make great decisions when we get to the weekend like we did this weekend.
When was your draft board set? When is that? When were you ready to go?
Ready to go? I mean, the draft board is kind of a work in progress for us as we build it. We probably do it differently than other teams. I don't know how other teams do it. I've only been one place my whole career. I've been super fortunate. But we kind of work through our board and get it right at the end. Really, we actually set the final board just a couple of days before the actual draft. But we know where players fit. We know their value. We build that all the way up through the fall, through the spring as we get to it. But we make a lot of final decisions really in the last couple of weeks as we get up to the draft. We bring our whole scouting staff in. Our coaching staff is very involved in it. It's truly an operation where we work together and we try and find the right guys that we feel are going to be fits for the Cowboys and that can come in here and compete, and not just compete to make jobs, but to make other guys better too. So, I mean, we believe competition is the best way to improve this football team, and we think we got a great group of guys to come help do that right now.
Number one, can we ask how many players y'all have on y'all board on average per year?
You know what? It's changed a little bit over the years. When Parcells was around, we had a really skinny draft board, and We've added a few more players to it each year. I don't want to get into the exact numbers of it and everything, but we've added more guys in there. And, we've talked about that a little bit too, but as Will likes to say, hey, if they've earned a spot on the board, we're not going to limit it to we can only have 153 guys on the board or we can only have 210 guys on the board. If a guy has earned a spot on the draft board, we're going to put him up there and consider him to, at some point when the value's right, to be a selection for the Cowboys.
Okay, walk us through the process of Tristan Hill, because you told us before that he's a junior.
Right.
So you don't get a quick glimpse at him as though as he was a senior.
Exactly. So,
yes, sir.
So we have, there were a ton of juniors that came out again this year. I can't remember if it was the highest number. Last year was a big number as well, and it's a big trend in college football that, that's a whole nother discussion on how that works. You can ask Nick Saban how that went over when he had his comments about that. But so with Tristan's case, we kind of knew who he was throughout the fall. You're keeping an eye on that. He's a good football player at a team that you have several scouts into. But then when he declares, that's when you really dive back in and you're finding out more about him and the character and who he is, and you can see how he plays. Anybody can cut the tape on and have an opinion on whether a guy's a good football player, what he does well, what he struggles with. But you got to get to know the person too. And, we're allowed to have 30 visitors throughout the spring, and Tristan was one of those guys, and we worked him out. We spent a lot of time with him, just like we did with a lot of other players, and he checked off the boxes that we needed him to, and we're really excited to have him in here as the first guy we took over the weekend.
As a sophomore, freshman or sophomore, whatever, he started 13 games, then they changed the system, and then they said he kind of ran into some difficulties. I know you can't get into the difficulties, but he didn't start as many as his junior year.
He started his first 2 years, and then they had a coaching change down there. And anytime there's a coaching change, young college kids, they can get, a little bit, hey, it's different. Something new's coming in. There's a new set of rules. There's a new sheriff in town, and he may have tested the patience of the new sheriff here and there, and they, part of what happened to him was they didn't start him this year.
Right.
But if you watch the tape, he was playing when they needed him. So, you might not start for certain reasons, but when it's time to make sure somebody's playing, he was on the field for him.
Your research part, you really had to deal with two different coaching staffs there, didn't you? Because you talked a lot to the...
Very much so. You had the Josh Heupel group this year that you kind of got a little bit of one story, and you had the Scott Frost group that you got a different story from, too.
Who recruited him and brought him.
Recruited him. And, that's part of what our guys do when they're out on the road is they're building relationships with coaching staffs and who they can trust with information. They have to protect that information that guys share with them, too. So it's about building relationships and getting to know coaches on staffs all over the country, that you trust the information that they're giving to you about a player, and then taking care of that information as you get it too. So it's a two-way street, and the biggest thing that, like I said, anybody can put on the tape and be a scout and offer their opinion, but I think we get beat up a little bit sometimes because we didn't take a player people like, or they like somebody better, but there's a lot of other reasons why we might not have taken a player, be it medical, be it off the field things, be it scheme fit, all different kinds of things. And sometimes the highlight packages look great when you're watching ESPN and Fox and all that stuff, but there's more to the story than just what you're seeing on that.
When Coach Marinelli over the years have just went past guys that are like Vita Vale last year. I mean, he made them fall to us, whatever the reason may, but you see guys that have had these abilities. What really, because we saw him talk up for this kid. Know what I'm saying? What is it about this Tristan Hill kid before we go to Connor McGovern?
Yeah, well, Tristan has all the tools and the traits the big buzzword now that you hear in scouting, to play the under tackle in our scheme. And the way Rod coaches and the way our defense is built, it's based on penetration and getting upfield and being disruptive. And when you can find a bigger man that can do that can play with the quickness of a smaller man, man, you're hitting a jackpot there. If you got a big guy that can get in there and be disruptive, that's what you want, man. You get bigger, helps you against the run, but you don't lose any of that quickness to get in there and help other guys make plays. So that's what we see in Tristan.
Go ahead. I did have a question about that.
Yeah, I had
pick.
one too, and you cut me off.
Sorry. On the, they had the War Room cam up, and it looked like there was a lot of discussion going down right to the wire on that. I don't know how much you can tell us, but was there a lot of debate going on about Hill was the right pick? I know safety was kind of in play, and
not really.
No,
it was
because
more
on the TV it looked like there was a lot of back and forth.
There's a lot of. We always are talking everything out, right down to when they tell me to tell Robert Blackwell, turn the card in. And, it's more just the more times you positively answer the same question and the room feels the same way about it, you as a whole group feel great about the pick. And there's validation from the scouting staff. There's validation from the coaching staff. There's the ownership wants to understand that, hey, we're all in on this guy. Everybody's got a good vibe about him. And when you've got that, you feel great about it. And, hopefully 3 years from now, we've made a great pick and we're winning championships, and he's a part of it,
Yeah, that's kind of my question, too, was to be a fly on the wall when those conversations, because we watch the War Room Cam.
Sure.
We're watching, we have the NFL Network up, we're watching the draft, we watch the War Room Cam on DallasCowboys.com, and we see if it's offensive coaches that come in or defensive coaches. So then we're like, okay, so we know that there's probably about 10 guys that could fall in this spot. So here's what, talk us through what those conversations, and I know you can't pull the curtain completely back, but like, when Marinelli and Richard come in there, what are they coming in there? What are they saying, and what are those conversations like?
A lot of that comes down to, okay, let's go over this one more time. How does he fit? Who's he going to compete with? How does he make us better? Is he the right kind of guy? It's checking your pulse. It's making sure everybody is completely on board with the player, whether it's Tristan Hill or whether it's Mike Weber in the 7th round. That's. You want to make sure that everybody's on board with the player. And, there's always going to be a scout that likes a player better than the one guy we took, or a coach that would have rather had another guy, but he went off the board and things like that. But you just want to validate that you're taking a guy that can come in and compete to earn a job. And you have so few resources in draft picks, and you don't ever want to waste one on a guy that maybe not everybody's on board with, or yeah, he might be the best looking player at the moment, but he might have a hard time making our team or competing with what we've already got. So a lot of it is just, hey, let's go over one more time. How does this guy fit into what we've got right now, and who is he going to compete with, and can he win a job? That's
a good point. Not only talking about the player and what they have, but also coming in, who's around him and who's he trying to beat out for a job. And if there's if this guy's locked in for the next 3 years and he's not going anywhere, this guy can't compete with that guy.
And you just brought up another great point that I didn't mention. You got to look at the contracts of the players that you have on your roster right now, too. If we all of a sudden know that we're going to be losing 3 or 4 players at a certain position within the next 2 years, maybe that's a pretty good spot to start adding some depth to, because you can't keep them all. And we've got some really good football players that are going to continue to cost us more and more money each year. Yeah. And we're going to have some hard choices to make in the next couple of years on where to allocate our salary cap dollars. So, which kind of may lead us into our second pick.
Conor McGrath, way to go, bro. Hey. But that's right where I was going. Like,
is that a segue?
Yeah, but come on,
you've done this radio thing before.
So just keep talking about Conor, then. You already know.
That surprised some people a little bit, but like you said, that was kind of looking towards.
Well, and honestly, it probably surprised us a little bit too. I mean, he wasn't a quote unquote targeted player of ours, but he was high up on our draft board. He's a really, really good, versatile football player that already plays the way we want our guys to play. I mean, he's cut out of the Colombo cloth.
Look at his neck.
Which is fantastic.
He's a big man. 6'5", 308.
Yeah, he looks the role, man.
That's a load.
And, he gives us some versatility along our line. And, as I was saying, you can't keep everybody out. I mean, I hope we can find a way to keep LC in here next year after – he plays one more year of his contract, but you don't know how that's going to work out with our stuff. But he was too good of a player to not take at that point, the way our board said. We've done a great job of kind of following that draft board. And when I think we made the comment a couple of times, when the guy's up there, it's a blinking light, and he's kind of by himself, and he's a round or two ahead of where the discussion is at the time, go ahead and take those guys. They usually turn out pretty good.
Yeah, as Confucius said, you draft into your strength because you draft into your strength. Y'all didn't catch that, is Y'all didn't catch that, is Mr. Jones went up the other night.
Yeah.
When he said that, I almost died.
And everybody's like, wait, what?
But I'm going to tell you, when you went Conor, and like you say, you see the highlights, and when they were showing his highlights, what impressed me was he's built the role. Now, I know he's going to smash up against Temple or anybody like that.
Sure.
But he's built the role of what we like on our field.
Exactly.
And so I know he's got that heart and determination because if Colombo has anything to do with it, I know it's going to be right.
Oh, let me tell you, he was the happiest guy in the room. I mean, he wasn't expecting to get a second-round draft pick to add to his basket of wealth that he's got over there already.
Oh.
And you couldn't wipe the grin off his face when we added another high pick. And I mean, the guy's he's gonna play, and he's gonna play well for us, at some point in the future. Might not be this year right out of the bat because we've got a damn good line now.
But we're gonna let him compete, right?
Sure.
Because to me, a natural guard and center. He's a natural guard. So you got that left guard with a lot of young talent, and plus Looney gets a shot at it too. So
exactly.
That thing is wide open.
Well, that's one of the things I said when we came in here. This group is going to compete with what we've got, and the cream's going to rise to the top, and we're going to be a better team for it.
Yeah, it seemed like this year more than in recent history that you guys were set up to where you had some needs, but nothing really glaring where you had to go get somebody, and it's hey, if a guy's there and like this pick.
That's what we got right here with Connor. I mean, we weren't dialed in on taking a guard center type guy, but when the guy's sitting there of his caliber, blinking light, as you say, it's hard to pass that up. But with the moves that we've made in the offseason with our pro free agency, we've shored up some things with some good depth players who are going to compete as well, and that gives you the opportunity not to have to lock in on, oh my God, if we don't get a safety, we can't go play football in September.
Right.
Which I think a lot of people feel that way, but that's a whole other story.
Tony Pollard, give me, because we've all sat here and we've all believed that if we get a running back, we wouldn't have been mad. This group here, we wouldn't have been mad because we're not saying Rod Smith can't be explosive, but I feel like this, that a guy at running back, that when Zeke walks off the field for those 10 to 15 plays, that backup running back should have that ability to at least be explosive 2 or 3 times out of them 15 plays.
No question.
Is any one of these guys, Tony Pollard, one of the guys you got later, Mike Weber?
Both of them have great traits. There's the word again, traits. Tony's probably a little bit more of a space player than Mike is. But Tony, what we love about him is just the versatility of him. I mean, if you go back and look at his career arc at Memphis, I mean, he's got 7 kickoff touchdowns, returns. Now I know kickoff return isn't as big in the NFL game, but it's still nice to have a guy back there that hey, if there's an opportunity there, this guy's got a chance to take it to the house. Mm-hmm. He played as a wide receiver in the slot. He played as a running back. Now Memphis had 3 really good running backs this year with to go along with Tony in there, and then one of them stayed in school, and Tony and I'm losing his name, Daryl Henderson was the other guy. Right. 3 really good backs. So there's only one football, and he does so many different things well. And the other thing that really kind of took us over the edge for him was he got a chance to play in the Senior Bowl. And if you go back and watch that Senior Bowl, he ran inside in between the tackles, which I hear a lot of people saying, oh, he can't do that. Why'd they take him? Well, go watch the Senior Bowl and see how he did between the tackles when they fed him the ball in a pro-style environment with it. He did pretty good.
Good size for a running back.
I mean, he's 6 foot, 210 pounds, and he can run.
Yeah.
Is he going to be in the mix for punt returns too, or just kicks?
Maybe eventually. He's more of an established kickoff guy than he was a punt guy, but I'm sure he'll get the opportunity to work at that, I would imagine. And, you go back to Mike Weber. He's a guy another Ohio State back that, those guys have played. They have a track record. They run the football there. Mike's a really good running back as well. And, it's great competition. It saved us from having to go out there and maybe find a veteran guy to plug into the mix there, like we've done with Al, Morris in the past or other guys like that. You don't have to go get who's the guy we had a couple years ago too. Brain dead right now.
Yeah, I'm kidding.
Yeah, the draft would do that to you.
Trust me.
When you've been working on it for 330 days.
Lucky Whitehead.
It was kind of a surprise.
No, it was not like that.
It was kind of a surprise, though, you took 2 running backs. I think people were, obviously Pollard was at 4th round. They expect big things, but to come back with Weber later, I think maybe that's just the best player on the board.
Honestly, again, there was a little bit of that blinking light
Really?
theory up there when you're looking up there and, well, who's the best player up here? And, honestly, there's a very good chance that both of those guys can make our team. I mean, really we've got young guys with Darius and Jordan Chun back there, but, neither one of them have established themselves yet. And we've got Jameis at fullback, who we also think we can give the ball to, and I think you may see him a little bit more involved in things this year. So there's really 2 spots to be competed for there, and we thought very highly of the 2 guys that we took, and if we're right, then again our team gets better.
Is there a guy on this list?
Darren McFadden, that was bugging me.
Thank you. That's it.
Is there a guy on this list that you think could be I guess a sleeper kind of, has a really, kind of under the radar guy that people probably don't know a lot about that has a shot at really competing and getting some playing time?
Of our draft picks?
Yeah.
Chris Hall's pet cat.
Yeah, pet cat.
Pet cat, yeah. I'm a big fan of Donovan Wilson, the safety. Dono had an interesting career arc at A&M, and he missed his original senior year, and he came back this year. He's a big hitter. He packs a big punch for a guy who's not a real big frame guy, but man, he can knock you out. And I think he's got some coverage skills too that he can bring to the table. And at that spot, I think there's a chance that he can compete and get out there. He's going to be a great special teams player. And obviously that's the way those younger guys, the later picks, have to get to the roster and show their worth with that before they can really find some playing time. But he's the guy I'm interested to watch and develop personally out of the group. I love all the guys. I mean, everybody's going to say that after you draft, right? But I really do. Each one of these guys that we took, they have a role, they have a fit. We got a great group of humans in this group of guys. They're really good guys. Coach Marinelli likes to say, you got to check what's under the hood, and we like what's under the hood on all these guys.
Yeah.
So we're excited about this group, and we're really excited about the free agents that we signed afterwards too. We plucked a handful of guys off that we had draftable
Larry
grades
Allen's
on.
kid, right?
Yeah,
Supposedly.
we got Larry Allen Jr.
Yeah. Well, that's right. Your job is not done at all. You're very
Exactly.
busy right now trying to bring these guys in, right?
Yeah, we got all our guys signed up right after the draft. You go hard because it's full competition with 31 other teams
A lot
at
of
that
it's
point.
first call first. Whoever calls first gets the money,
there's a lot of deals being made to get those guys in there, and we get them all agreed to that night. And you look up, and we added probably another 6 or 7 guys that we had draftable grades on. So, we're excited to see those guys come in and compete. We got 2 receivers in Jalen Guyton from North Texas and John Vay Johnson from Toledo they're 4.3 guys. They can really fly. So, that gives us a whole nother dimension when you roll out there in preseason games and you're competing in camp and everything. So we're excited about those 2 guys as well.
You said the word good humans. Mm-hmm. And I've heard that this locker room that this team has now is one of, if not the best locker room as far as like character guys and good people and just really a solid group of human beings. Has there been, a focused effort on not only getting good football players, but when you guys draft, really making sure they're good people and have the right attitude and right character?
I wouldn't say it's a focused effort, but it's something that we look for, definitely. And part of that reason is when you come here, the way we compete in practice, you got to be made of the right stuff to go out there and do what we do. We are a hard playing team. And I think you see that when we get guys that come in off the waiver wires or come from other places. And one of the first things they always say is, do we do this every day? The way they go after it. And that's a great tribute to our coaching staff, from Coach Garrett to Coach Marinelli on down, that they demand these guys come in and practice hard every day and are focused and work at it. And I think you've seen that pay dividends for us, and it'll continue. When you have that kind of mentality and work rate, you get better work done.
Because what it does is it cuts down on mistakes. Guys that can focus and practice hard and practice right, it cuts down on mistakes. And where it really helps you is you may not be the better player, but in tighter situations, on harder times, you're not going to make that mental or physical mistake.
can rely on you.
Yeah. Yeah, I understand it because Jimmy believed in that. Mm-hmm. Practice hard, practice smart, understand what is going on, and stay focused. And if you do that, you may play. Like Brian Young was a better player than me. Dana Stubblefield was better, but we beat San Francisco, and I knew how to handle myself under certain situations. And that helps, believe me.
Great example.
You got to get out of here. Can you stay around
stay
a few
around
more
for a
minutes?
little bit longer.
All right, good, because we want to talk to you a little bit more. So
If you'll have me.
we will, absolutely. We'll take a quick break, and we'll be back with Chris Hall right after this.
Kaboo, Texas is 3 days, 6 stages, over 100 artists, including The Killers, Lionel Richie, Leonard Skinner, Ms. Lauryn Hill, Kid Rock, Alanis Morissette, Little Big Town, the Avett Brothers, Counting Crows, Pitbull, Sting, the Black Eyed Peas, and the list goes on. Don't miss Kaboo, Texas. Single day and 3-day passes are on sale now. Visit KAABOOTexas.com to get your passes today.
A man's Stetson doesn't just protect him from life's elements. It projects an unstoppable and legendary spirit, just like the men wearing silver and navy on the field every Sunday. Since 1865, Stetson hats are American-made with pride right here in Texas. They are still the official crown of all self-respecting Cowboys. And Stetson is proud to be on the field with America's team. Find Stetson hats in the Pro Shop or at Stetson.com today.
Star Sports Tours is the only official fan travel partner of the Dallas Cowboys, offering exclusive game weekend travel packages with sideline access and photo ops with current players, alumni, and cheerleaders. That's not all, though. You'll get to talk X's and O's with Senior Director of Player Personnel Will McClay and, of course, with yours truly, me, Brian Broaddus. You can trust the official fan travel partner of the Dallas Cowboys, and with us, you'll travel like a pro. Visit cowboystravel.com to book your travel package today.
While a player could look good on paper, it's when he's out on the field that you really find out what he's made of. That's why the Cowboys rely on more than just stats and scouting reports when building their team. When picking a tractor, it's why you should rely on more than just specs and features. You've got to take it out and put it to the test. The Cowboys did when they named John Deere their official tractor. Experience one for yourself. Visit myjohndeeredealer.com/football.
Hangin' with the boys.
Back to Hanging with the Boys.
Back. There we go. Youth camps. Dallas Cowboys Youth Academies are dedicated to the development of young athletes and dancers of all skill levels through customized curriculum, personalized coaching, and interactive experiences with current Dallas Cowboys players and the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders. Registration is now open for spring and summer youth camps at the Star and AT&T Stadium. Save $25 with early bird pricing when you register by May 1st. So hurry up and do that. Register today at dallascowboys.com/academy. Get to hang out with our buddy Danny McCray or DCC, depending on.
Can you say customized curriculum one more time?
Customized curriculum.
Very nice.
He's a radio professional.
Why did I screw it up the first time? Oh. You trying to make me say a bad word on the air,
No,
Chris?
no, sir. No, sir.
It's not very nice.
You sounded like a jackpot waiting to happen.
Question for you. Who do you think, besides the Cowboys, of course, who do you think in the NFC East had the best draft?
Everybody did good. I mean, everybody feels like they did good.
Yeah.
You know, the Redskins, I think they added some weapons to their deal. They got a quarterback that could be really interesting for us to deal with. The Giants did the same thing.
Yeah.
You know, so they both have a rookie quarterback that's going to be in play for the next few years.
I was going to say,
that out.
if those work out, all of a sudden this division becomes like a long-term, possibly
nasty.
long-term
you
quarterback
have the potential
studs.
to have 4 really young quarterbacks that could play a long time and compete against each other for a long, long time if they all hit.
Yeah.
So, anytime you had a guy like that, you got to pay attention to it. If they turn out, they're going to be some tough competition for a long time for us.
You know, the Redskins did nice with Marcus Sweat. Was it Sweat?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man,
Montez
their defense
Sweat.
already nice
Yep.
inside.
Yeah, he was a guy that some people had some health concerns on, but boy, we loved him, and that dude can get after the passer.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you had a potential starting quarterback and a guy that can disrupt the quarterback. Yeah, that makes you pay attention.
I like his
Yeah.
name. He got a cool name.
Then they went back later.
Montez Sweat.
Yeah, they went back later. Did Washington go back later and get a guy from Ohio State, a wide receiver? They went back later,
Yeah,
I
they
think.
did.
Yeah, and got one
I
of
don't
his
have their
boys.
stuff. Yeah,
He got one of his boys, man.
So I
later
assume
on.
it's hard though to keep track in the heat of the moment. You don't have a real idea who's got what and who's
Yeah,
got
I
what.
mean, we've got a lot of great tools in there to where we can click on a team helmet and see who they've picked and everything. But man, you're so focused in on what you're doing, you can't be worrying about what other teams are doing. Now, every now and then, you might drop a explicative when one of your guys goes off the board that you really liked and was hoping he would get to your draft pick. But at the end of the day, you got to stay focused on what you're doing in there.
Who is the guy, a scout, or coach that, they got 2 or 3 guys that they really high on? Who gives you the most bad words when they go off? You know what I'm saying?
It might be Will McClay at the end of the day. But, I mean, he's so focused and driven in there. I use that word that's going to be on our T-shirts now. But it's, you spend so much time and energy and effort into studying these guys and learning them. And, you develop favorites and you develop guys that would be great fits for us. And, you only got one pick in each round generally, and you can't take all the guys you like. And that's why, we spend time trying to put together the best guy that'll fit the spot that we think is the right fit and value on each one of these picks. And it's a sliding scale, and it changes as you go through the draft,
What was it like then day one when you knew you weren't going to be doing anything? I mean,
that was rough. I mean, you're in there
long
watching.
few hours.
You're in there watching everybody else get better, and then all of a sudden we said, you know what? We already won about 7 or 8 games with our number 1 draft pick this year, so it didn't sting as bad when you stop and think that we got our draft pick ahead of time, and he helped us become a better football team in Amari Cooper.
Yeah,
and we really looked up at that board all the way back to the fall when that whole thing took place. And we made a decision back then that there wasn't going to be a receiver in this draft that had anywhere near his talent and ability and his capabilities. So that ultimately is one of the main reasons why we chose to make that trade. And,
just imagine.
It worked out pretty good for us.
It revived our team. It was just the punch we needed.
Gave us an unbelievable shot in the arm at the time. It helped Dak. It helped our entire team on both sides of the ball and brought a great energy to it. And, we got 8-10 plus games out of our first round pick this year already.
It's obviously a great move and all that, but I would still just think from your point of view, you've been working hard all year, and then the first day you're just sitting there
sitting around waiting on the catfish to be ready.
Of course, and then you're sitting there picking 58, and you're thinking, man, we're going to lose about 40 of our first 40 players on our board before we even get a crack at one of these guys sometimes. So it's hard on that regard, but when you stop and think why we don't have a pick, it made it go down a lot easier.
You know what's amazing is this is one thing I hope I never do again. But this draft has taught me a lot. It's a lot of guys winning the first and second round where guys were like, oh, you could have waited on that. But I've noticed people are starting. No, look at the whole draft. I'm quite sure he can go down and say, this guy didn't rate as high as, you know what I'm saying? Or this guy did.
100%. I mean, we took Tony Pollard too soon. Why did we take, you can question every one of these things with every single team, but there's not a team in the league that didn't walk out of there Sunday night going, man, I love how we made our team better.
Yeah.
We did great. Everybody thinks they got an A, but, there's all your grades and somebody got a C and there's a few D's out there. Everybody feels like they did a good job with their guys. We all feel like, hey, this was great value in this round where we took this player. And then people get on the radio and on TV, oh, they took him too early. They could have waited. Do you know we could have waited? Or maybe we had intel that said we knew that somebody else liked that guy too, and we had to get up ahead of that team to make sure that we got him.
Yeah.
I guess
you just don't know.
I'm assuming that's why you guys, to a degree, traded down then in the 4th, 5th round, because you had a block of players there you knew were going to be there when you.
Exactly. Well, you don't know, but you feel good when you've got, in that situation, when you've got maybe 5 or 6 guys that you like and you're not just in love with one of them. Then it's okay to take that slide back a little bit, and that enabled us to pick up 2 more picks and get 2 more guys that we didn't have to maybe compete for in free agency with other teams. Now, did we lose a guy? We might have lost a guy or 2 on the way, but we also had enough players in that vein. It's when you're dialed in on one guy and somebody calls and offers you a 7th-round pick to slide down a little bit. I mean, you don't want to lose that guy. So those are the deals you say no to make sure you get the guy that you want.
It's just amazing, Chris, that, I do a little radio show for one of the local, and all I heard was, if they liked it, that guy, great pick. If they didn't like it, they go, he could have slid back to the 3rd. And I'm saying in my mind, you think that teams spend millions and millions of dollars, got scouts of different levels, pro scout, college pro person, and they don't know who they want for their team? Yeah. Regardless of where you may have them placed that don't make no sense. It just don't. Now, don't get me wrong. You do wonder about some GMs or managers over the years because you've seen them make bad plays, but we don't know. This is a new set of GMs that came into play. It's about 2 or 3 new sets. Like they killing Mr. Kettleman at New York. But let's let this play out.
Did you notice the Super Bowl team he built in Carolina?
Yeah, that's what everybody forgot.
He might have an idea of what he's doing. I mean,
I've
known Dave for a long, long time, and he's a great man. And, I know they're direct competition, but he's up there getting roasted for all these things that he done. I mean, we could be getting roasted. I mean, good Lord, Jerry's been roasted so many times over the years that it's crazy. So it goes on in every city because – some fans or radio personalities, they get locked in on what a team should do.
Yes.
And, they're not in the room where it happens. And,
they haven't scouted not one player.
How much, and I don't want to bag on that industry at all, but how much work I promise you,
they hadn't done the work
any scouting staff in the league, whether it's the Dallas Cowboys or any other team, has done more work building their draft board than anybody who's putting together their top 100 list or looking at the top 10 guys at each position. And I'm not taking anything away from what they do. I mean, some of those guys work hard at it and do a great job of it.
But there's a lot of snake oil.
Don't have all the information that we have.
Yeah. When it comes to evaluating a draft, we typically say, well, let's give it 2 or 3 years and then look back at it. What's kind of y'all's standard when you say, was that a successful draft or not? Is there a time frame, or how do you guys evaluate drafts?
Going all the way back to Coach Landry, it was, year 3, you're going to know about a player for sure. Mm-hmm. He might come into the league as a defensive tackle,
right?
And, end up being a hell of an offensive lineman. Mark Tooney was that way.
I was that way. For real. Hey, look here. hey, but this is what's so funny because draft grades, NFL.com A. But you go all the way over here to the Dallas Morning News, B-C. Everybody, it's like, really? And I'm not going to talk bad about Dallas Morning News, but come on, I know your history.
It's Baskin Robbins. Everybody likes a different flavor of ice cream. I mean,
wow.
Sometimes vanilla's pretty good, and sometimes you want,
Let's see what
Rocky Road. I don't know, but
let's see what our God think. Douglas.
Well,
that's the voice.
I think that Parcells used to say that the best of them got 50-50 and got 50-50 right, and I think that one of the most criticized picks in recent years, as far as you could have gotten him later, was Travis Frederick. And I think that turned out fine. And just because so many picks for everybody don't pan out, anybody that sniffs of being a reach, the odds are against you already in perception.
Yeah.
I was one of those guys on Travis Frederick, man, and I had to eat that up quick. Yeah, I'm serious. I had to eat that up quick now, for real. And see, this is what, in my industry, the radio, that is what I hate the most, is guys can't even say, hey, man, I was wrong.
Mm-hmm.
It's still got to be a reason why Chris Hall should have went out and got this guy from Jamaica. You know what I'm saying? Do you know they got a team over there in Jamaica, a 6'8" guy? Come on, man.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, you're not going to be right on all these guys, and we know that. And sometimes, heck, whether usually not the draft picks, but some of these free agents that we're excited about, they may walk out here our first rookie minicamp and we go, that guy ain't going to make it.
Yeah.
You know, or holy cow,
The human log.
this guy's got a chance to be playing this fall.
Yeah.
You know,
The human log.
you don't know. Just don't
The
know.
human log.
The human law.
There you go. Finally. You had to ask for it 4 times.
Antoine Wood. No, he got it. I was just trying to hope he get it, you know. But I guess they call them by their names instead of their nicknames.
Their nicknames. Yeah.
But let me ask you this, Chris. If we had to draft Shannon, what do you think his strengths are? Just by looking at it.
His handsome good looks.
Hey! Nailed it.
You had to get
Nailed it.
You had to get Kurt. What is about Kurt?
The face of the franchise.
Determination to fight
Kurt's
back.
toughness, clearly.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Good.
What about our partner over here, Nate?
You don't have to worry about it. I already did it.
Oh,
He's
I already did it, dog.
He's got the rings to show for it.
yeah, he does.
But now, this is where we start now. So, OTAs, minicamp. So, what is y'all part in that?
Really, it's just kind of a little bit of watching and evaluating at this point. I mean, the coaching staff really takes over at this point, you know, full force, and they've got to teach these guys. They've got to make sure they're knowing what to do. We talked about the accountability of the players and the competition as we go forth. I mean, these new guys have to learn what our standard is. They'll be held to that standard, and it's going to be hard for some of them at first because they're coming from different programs where they never seen anything like this. I mean, some of them are small school guys, some of them are big school guys, some are Power 5. They've come from all over the place, but right now they're all Cowboys, and they got to learn, you know, how we do things here. From everything from how Mike Woysick teaches them how to lift weights to, you know, how Scott Sennard is going to try and help fuel their bodies with nutrition and everything. And then, of course, the most important thing is learning the playbook and showing a coach that he can trust you when you're out on the field. And that's what all this first camp is a teaching session more so than anything else. And, you know, you're going to get your first taste of who maybe is going to need a little extra time to learn things, or what coach is going to have to spend some more time with certain guys, or, you know, as they dive into the playbook. You know, it's not easy, and it's a different book, especially for some of these offensive guys that have come from some spread systems in college, where, you know, you get some of these guys that don't have much of a playbook in college. They're looking at Daffy Duck and Superman signs on cards over at the side that tell them what to do.
You know what amazes me is, and I think, and I understand college is not for pros. What I mean by that is, if I'm a college coach, I got to coach what's before me and make it better, and I got to win with what I got. But I think it's a shame now that what you're talking about is all linemen just stand up, 2-point stand. That takes away from learning leverage a lot of times. That takes away from getting quick feet. Running backs just stand 8-9 yards deep, never get to really block linebackers and defensive tackles and linemen. So when they get in pros, all of a sudden 300 pounds coming at you, and that's your guy to help, and they don't even know. That keeps you off the field. Wide receivers, all I ever did was run a 9 route. Well, brother, we're gonna ask you to run. We're gonna ask you to run a little bit different.
Yeah, there's 8 numbers before 9.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, and so now a guy that does not understand this thinks that, like, when they get a break away from the field, they don't understand that they should be on the field. Saying, hey, getting one of the backup quarterbacks saying, hey, man, help me learn this route tree.
Yep.
Help me learn how to come out of breaks. Let me work with the coach so I know that, you know, all routes look the same, but, you know, it's 9 different routes that we're going to run. But all of them going to look the same coming off of this line. They don't know that.
Yeah. Well, Chris, man, it's always a pleasure.
It is.
Yeah, I enjoy it.
Man, Tay Watt came around the corner, man, and kind of like looked at us.
She might have left.
No, I don't think Tay Watt gonna leave. Tay Watt a bulldog.
Oh, she's hiding over there.
Yeah, Tay Watt a bulldog.
She over there in the corner. All right.
Yeah, she a bulldog.
Well, Chris, thanks for taking some time out. We know you're busy, man. This was awesome.
All right.
So we'll have you on at some point to talk rock music before the season gets going.
But I got some good news for you and some bad news.
You want to say it now, or you want to wait till we come back?
Good news is we can promote you during the regular season and preseason. Mm-hmm. But during the season and playoffs, you won't make pretty. Don't do it.
No.
You got to get
Toughness
dirty.
and determination.
Thanks, Nate. We'll be right back with Taylor Stern on Tell You What on Hanging With the Boys.
Like me and you love... I mean, if you have a thing, then cutting the cord is scary. But then I found out I could switch to DirecTV Now and still get the live sports I love. No satellite needed, no bulky hardware, no annual contract, just...
Get the live sports you love. Try DirecTV Now for $10 a month for 3 months. Visit DirecTVNow.com. DirecTV Now. More for your thing. That's our thing. Use code REALDEAL. Limited time. Price for little package. After 3 months, renews monthly at full price. Currently minimum $40 unless canceled. Prices may change. New subscribers only. Cancel anytime. Content varies by package and may be limited. Restrictions apply.
It's time for tailgating with the OtterBox boys.
OtterBox, the overprotected phone case company?
Yep, and they've got an essential tool for your next tailgate party, the bear-resistant Venture Cooler.
Now, wait. In all my tailgating days, I've never seen bears tackling brats on the blacktop.
And you never will, because a Venture Cooler with a locking kit is basically bear repellent.
Can't wait to try it out at my next tailgate.
That's been tailgating with the OtterBox boys. Visit OtterBox.com to learn more about their certified bear-resistant Venture Coolers.
You want the most interesting, up-to-the-minute Dallas Cowboys news straight from the Star in Frisco? How about exclusive and on command? That's right, news and nuggets you can't find anywhere else. With our exclusive Cowboys content on Alexa, you can have all the answers, secrets, stories, and more. What's Stephen Jones thinking during a game? What's Joe Looney's favorite pregame meal? We take your questions to Cowboys players and coaches, and you can hear the answers directly back to you. Just say, Alexa, open Dallas Cowboys.
Now's a good time to tell you that SeatGeek is the new source of tickets for all your football needs this season. SeatGeek makes managing tickets easy, whether it's buying or transferring to a friend. They even tell you the best deals for every game based on their deal score technology, which rates every seat on historical data, price, and location. Download the SeatGeek app on your phone and take $20 off your first purchase using code DALLAS at checkout. SeatGeek. Life's an event. We have the tickets.
A man's Stetson doesn't just protect him from life's elements. It projects an unstoppable and legendary spirit, just like the men wearing silver and navy on the field every Sunday. Since 1865, Stetson hats are American-made with pride right here in Texas. They are still the official crown of all self-respecting Cowboys. And Stetson is proud to be on the field with America's team. Find Stetson hats in the Pro Shop or at Stetson.com today.
Back to Hanging with the Boys.
Back the Star in Frisco. We swapped out. That was good.
That was. He's really
That's
good.
probably one of the best guests we've had on.
Chris is always.
Well, you know, I think reason
Not yet, Taylor.
I think the reason he. Let's introduce her first.
Go ahead.
This is great Tay.
Great Tay.
Yeah, it's great Tay. Hey,
Hard
anyway,
shoes to fill, though, with Chris Hall. Chris Hall is very knowledgeable.
I tell you what made Chris the best so far.
What's that?
It's because he understands what we do, I think. You notice how he segued and moved around?
Mhm.
Yeah, I think he knew. And then we pepper him with basically the same questions every year. So.
He just answers them in a different way.
Yeah.
Chris is a hell of a golfer, too.
Is he?
Him and
Yeah.
I hit the course last year after I started learning, and he's very patient, very I think that's one because he also has daughters, so he understands that. But, yeah, we played golf together. It was right before training camp, and we've been trying to knock down another day, but draft.
He's been a little busy. Yeah.
He's been a little busy getting some new players in here.
He's got some free time.
I knew
though.
when he went blank on names that guys that played here, and he kind of went blank. I said, "Yeah, he getting tired."
Yeah.
Even though
he
even though he's rested, even though they rested a little bit after the draft, they went to sleep, got some long rest. It's still, man, because I wouldn't want to be in their shoes.
Too much time. What you got for us today, Tay?
Well, I was going to ask Nate because, we were lucky enough to be together during the draft. But, Nate, we weren't with you. Were you happy with the Tristan Hill pick? It seemed like right what you wanted.
Yeah, and I kicked myself, Miss Tay, because for a month, I want a 500. I just need give me the fattest man in the world, hog heaven. And then the last 2 weeks, I bowed out. But when they came back to it, I was happy over at the place where I was doing the draft at. The guy who I was working with at that time, he was so set on safeties.
I think a lot of fans were too.
You know what? That ought to teach us a valuable lesson because the Cowboys in past years could not keep a secret. They not only kept a secret, but they had everybody going down the wrong road.
Yeah.
You know?
I think it shows, too, they don't value that position as much.
Yeah, wow.
You know,
Truth Bombs by Kurt Daniels.
You know what I said upstairs?
What's that, brother?
Because you said you did a 180 on us, and you said first pick, go get a fat defensive lineman, and then the rest offense.
Right.
And they went fat defensive lineman, 6'3", 308, offensive line, running back, and I said, Lord Jesus, please don't draft all offense because Nate will never let us live it down if they don't make some.
Because I switched. I'm
like, Natradamus, I like that.
His name.
But I'm gonna tell you somebody who I like, and I should have asked Chris. When you started talking about the Savage Kid,
he went early.
I kind of went to reading up on him.
Went to Green Bay, right?
Yeah, like first round.
Yeah, I kind of went to reading up on him, and I'm like, I like this kid. And so he was one of my wish list guys because normally when you go, even though you may have this guy slotted for a second round pick, normally when everybody go to just talking about a kid, and then everybody forgot about him, next thing you know, boom, he was gone. I was like, wow.
Boom. I know. I told Shannon that no more Savage jerseys.
No.
Let me tell you, man.
We got Hill jerseys.
We got the whole Jackson family, Michael and Joe. I don't know if this is a good year to draft Michael Jackson. We're just good. He likes to go by Mike, so we'll call him Mike Jackson.
I do have an interesting little tidbit that Scott at Golnet gave us. This is the third year that for the Cowboys draft, they've drafted at least 2 players from the same school. So a couple years ago, it was Michigan with Jordan Lewis and Taco, and actually also Cheeto and Jordan Carroll. Jordan Carroll isn't here anymore. And then the next year was Boise State with Cedric Wilson and, of course, Leighton Vander Esch. And then this year was Miami with the back-to-back picks.
Yeah. Kurt, you did a cool story, 60 facts about the Cowboys draft.
Yeah, just low-key, didn't even tell anyone.
Didn't tell us on the show or anything. A couple of things out of there that I was shocked by is that they drafted Pat Riley, the basketball coach, and Carl Lewis, the sprinter. What were some other facts in there that were some of your favorites?
They've had some other guy I can't remember names now. That Lou Hudson, I think, went on to be an all-star basketball player. They drafted a guy that played 12 years in the majors as a baseball player. But yeah, there's some interesting, both good and bad, actually, facts.
Were there any facts that weren't like player related that were I didn't read your whole list. I just read part of it.
Just the interesting parts.
Pull it up, Kurt.
Kurt wrote it and still has to go back and read it.
Let me say this, Miss Tay. What else, listening to Broadus and other people where you gather a little bit of your information, what are some of the other players or things that you liked about this draft or that you heard that was nice about this draft?
Well, yeah, of course I was surprised that they didn't go after a safety earlier than, when they started focusing on the defensive backfield. But the biggest thing that I was surprised by was the fact that they went after 2 running backs and in prominent positions drafted those guys. And I was listening to Will McClay on something, and they were talking about, Weber from Ohio State. What does this mean for Tony Pollard? I think Stephen Jones compared him to Alvin Kamara. Not saying that he is, but just saying that he had similar traits and skills that they could utilize.
There's the word traits.
Yep.
Traits. The intangibles.
Yeah.
And I was very surprised that they went after 2 guys because now that's a big competition spot, which really wasn't around before that. And I think...
Make you think they won't be re-signing Zeke?
Yeah, just, we got a new Ohio State guy. Let's just keep him around.
Well, they picked up his 5th-year option, right?
Yeah.
So,
wow.
Maybe they're setting themselves up if he gets upset about that and tries to hold out or something. They got some insurance. Who knows? I'm interested to see how that's going to play out because...
See, a lot of people won't admit, and I like what Chris Hall... You better be factoring in, we can't pay this guy.
Right.
And that better be a part of how you draft, because if you don't...
Because that's real life.
You'll be left naked, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I heard a bunch of people last week, they were asking questions, after we had been so heavy on cornerback and safety talk, and was like, oh, so they're not signing Byron Jones? They're just going to get rid of him? And that's not the case.
There you go.
Ultimately, they would like to keep all players, but just with the salary situation set it what it is, you have to be aware of that, because then they're going to be mad when they're like, oh, Jacksonville just paid Byron huge money. You know, who do we have now? Because you guys never set anyone up. So that's what they're doing right now. And it seems boring, kind of, because you don't know what these guys are, but it's great.
Yeah,
great safety.
Yeah.
Literally safety.
A guy we had in here the other day, that Miss Tay brought in.
Danny McCray. Mm-hmm.
See, and I'm going along with Kurt and the other guys that have said, is that they don't value it the way they do a 3 technique.
Mm-hmm.
They don't value it the way they do a running back at this point.
Guards.
Yeah, but that's not to say that we can't look at our safeties as nobodies. You know, we just automatically took that. Okay, yes, Jeff Heath has some traits that we don't like. There's that word again. Some traits that may not be appealing to most, but I've always thought, who gets to the quarterback first? The safety or the 3 technique?
Mm-hmm.
In this scheme, in this defense.
Right.
Are the defensive end. That's why I was so keen on that. Getting that defensive tackle that can stop the run, but is a hellacious pass rushing. Because that, I promise you, if these guys up front can mesh with Quinn,
You don't have to worry about the back end as much.
because they're gonna be set up. They can stop being so scared about blowing the coverage and take calculated risks on jumping that rock. Because that's the difference, to have the athletic ability and the knowledge to know when you can jump that rock, what route can possibly be ran, and not be scared to get beat. So,
Yeah. And I think we saw that with the moves they did make to get Quinn and, to get D-Law paid the way they did. But then you're bringing up guys. I mean, Danny McCray, Barry Church, Jeff Heath, a lot of those safeties they've had in the years past were either late picks or completely undrafted.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they feel comfortable about that.
They seem to like Heath better than everybody else.
And the fans
they
have
seem to
Earl
like
Thomas
Jet Heath
hangover.
better than everybody else.
Well, the thing about it, until they got, like Danny said, until they get a guy that's a head above him, you can't be 6 inches better than him. Because right now he is a veteran and he's learned. So he know a little bit of tricks to the trade. So you going to just go out and draft a guy that's going to run willy-nilly back there? So you got to get a guy, that safety going to have to be that guy that comes in and he's mature right off the bat. He's a professional right off the bat. He understands his position and what he's back there doing and the responsibilities that come to it. Was that guy there? I think that guy was, but he probably got took early, because safety Rapp was still there after them. There was a few safeties still there after that second pick. It was a few guys still there, just rolling off the board, 5 or 6 players down after us. So if the Cowboys wanted them, they were there. But I think the Savage guy and the other guy that went first, who nobody thought, the 2 guys that they didn't think was going in the first round, they went in the first round.
Yeah. 2 things I want to get to real quick.
Get to them, man.
Right.
What are a couple of your favorite things? I saw you looking at them.
I'll give you my favorite one here. From 1964, we drafted Bob Hayes, who obviously went on to Bob Hayes, went on to win the gold medal at the Olympics. But unlike Carl Lewis, he wasn't just a track guy. He was actually a pretty good football player. He played at Florida A&M. First African-American to ever play in the Senior Bowl.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, in that game.
Bullet Bob Hayes.
He caught a touchdown pass from Joe Namath in that game.
Wow. Was that in Mobile back then?
I think so.
Has it been in Mobile the whole time?
Yeah.
Wow.
And the head coach of the South team, Tom Landry.
That's some deep digging. That's some deep digging there, Kurt.
Herschel Walker was a world-class sprinter in college.
Yes,
He was running against Carl Lewis.
Yeah. And then the last thing I want to get to, Taylor, do you watch Game of Thrones?
Here's my thing. I'm part of the 1% of the population does not.
Tay,
what? Yep, we're here. You do, Nate?
He does.
Nah,
His wife
really.
does,
He
but
knows
he
everything
knows
about it.
everything that
Yeah.
happens on the show.
Guilty pleasure for
So,
me.
back, I guess a couple of years ago when it really was like gaining all the popularity,
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, maybe I'll start watching it. And then I didn't. And then now here it is, the final season. Which
3 more episodes.
I thought last year was the final season, so I'm confused. But
No, this is the final.
okay, but didn't they say last year was?
I don't think so.
Or they like hinted at something?
I think they left it up in the air. I don't think they said that.
I tell you this right here. They did this so sweet.
Don't spoil it for people that haven't listened.
Let me say something. All the main characters all of the main characters, I'm telling you, you knew that they was gonna get wiped out by the Walkers.
Why is he? I don't even know what he's saying. And now, well, I was gonna say I'm waiting until this season is over to completely go back.
Go
but
binge watch it.
Nate
Just
just
remember
told me
this.
everything.
You thought everybody thought John. What's his name? John
Snow.
Like,
John
he's
Snow.
literally saying-
The Dragon Princess. The Raven guy who went Raven the other night in the wheelchair. Bran. All these people. I mean, they were just these white. And then the White King. He woke up even the bodies. The
Night
King. Let me tell you something.
Kurt,
Girl, I'm gonna tell you
got your
something.
point.
This is what was so funny. Right at the last minute, my girl just came out of
Wait a
nowhere.
minute.
Yeah, he's saying it.
My girl came out of nowhere.
You're spoiling it. What if
Yeah,
people haven't
you're
seen this
spoiling
yet?
Wasn't that sweet how she did that?
Oh, yeah.
That was sweet, bro.
He just,
then all
he
of
just
a
made
sudden,
a bunch of people really mad.
and I don't care. I don't care. Watch it when you're supposed to watch it. But the
doesn't
Super Bowl
say he
is
doesn't
coming
watch
though,
it.
bro.
Yeah.
The Super Bowl, because the queen that thought she was gonna get the queen that thought
If y'all watch Game of Thrones, don't listen. Put your fingers in
the
your
queen
ears.
that thought that she's like, oh, they'll never make it through the White Walkers. Now she's sitting there like with that little smirk on her face. Okay.
Yeah. It was.
All right.
It was a good show.
I mean,
they did it right.
It was so sweet to all of these people just to know you gonna die, and all of a sudden you just standing there.
Whoa, no.
Telling you, girl.
Taylor, here's the thing.
Deja blue, baby. Deja blue.
First thing Taylor's going to learn when she starts watching the show is no one is safe.
No one.
So
no one
it really hasn't given anything away.
Because and everybody
That's what everyone
expected this
keeps telling me.
episode. You expected at least half the main characters to get wiped out.
And you know
we
what
had we had a death pool Saturday night at the bar. Me and two of my buddies, we drafted 4 characters apiece, and every character that died on your list, you got $10 from the other 2 guys.
Wow.
But I'm gonna tell you the sweetest
come out a
thing.
winner?
I'm gonna tell you the sweetest thing.
$20.
Yes.
The sweetest thing, Miss Tay, and I'm not a sentimental guy, is, you know, the one guy that was fighting for the Dragon Queen, then all of a sudden he got slayed, and then the big dragon came up out of nowhere. You notice?
yeah.
Oh, that was
Yeah.
sweet. I
Like
like
a
that's
little- like a
sweet.
little
that-
puppy dog.
Oh
You
yeah,
ever-
but you know he liked Jon Snow. The red dragon kind of like old Jon Snow after he smelt him out a week ago.
Melt him out.
Yeah, jeez. You want to know the sweetest thing though about Game of Thrones? If you guys have seen the documentary series that CNN did called 2000s, basically when HBO, like after HBO finished The Sopranos and they had Nurse Jackie, they had a couple different series. They were like pretty much like bottoms up because Netflix was really entering the movie market.
Yes.
And before that, HBO was like the king of that. Like they had all the old
Right.
movies. And so the HBO executives were like, we don't know what we're going to do. Like, we're either about to just be completely done or we have to get a couple other, like, big-time shows. And so they had a couple other ones. I can't even think of, like...
The White Queen, the Queen.
No,
you're talking
these
about
are
shows.
actual shows.
Okay,
like
okay.
Rome, I think, was a show that was on HBO. But then...
The White Queen is a show. It
is.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
here we go.
Oh, yeah.
He knows more
Come
about
on,
it.
man. Come
But
on now.
Game of Thrones, when it first started, the budget was so small they didn't even have like enough money in that season 1 to show any of like real battle scenes.
Yeah, and now it's like
now
each
it's like
episode's a movie.
yeah,
It
it's
has a
like one
budget
of the
a movie.
most historical television series that will ever
I'm telling you
be in
something.
existence.
Saved HBO. It sounds
tell
like.
you
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
I'm telling you.
Are you gonna ruin
and they,
something
and
else?
they drag
Yeah,
it.
Are you
And they,
gonna ruin
and
something
it's,
else?
but no, let me say this.
I
In this last season, things that you thought they would drag out to the end, like the big wars and all that,
Yeah.
you thought they would drag, but they brought this in the third episode.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You would have thought that they would have built it up more.
And the battle would have been the very last episode. Oh,
But-
there's going to be another one.
Yeah, it's going.
There'll be another one.
Super Bowl coming, girl.
Yeah.
They
All right.
right now they got the AFC Championship game with the
Super
other
Bowl's
night.
coming for the Cowboys.
Let's get out of here
now.
before Nate pisses every one of our listeners
exactly.
off. So,
I tell you what, man, watch this.
yeah. It's
You
good.
said he didn't even watch it.
I don't.
His wife does. He just
I
said,
forget. I hate that Game of Thrones. Go
Yeah,
against
can't you tell?
Go against my Christian belief.
Yeah.
well, thanks for showing up, Kurt.
Yep.
Thanks
Thank
for
you,
bringing
girl.
it, Nate.
I saw
Taylor,
you. I
thanks for
saw
joining
Taylor
us.
peep around the corner.
Yeah.
Like,
Thanks for joining, Douglas. thanks for doing what you do. Kent, thanks for pushing the buttons.
And I'm stealing somebody's draft notes.
Presley,
Bye.
thanks for scheduling everything. We will be back next Monday. What are we going to talk about next week?
Let the fans.
Game of Thrones, episode 4.
I'm going to try to get one of these guys.
Hey,
on.
Will McClay Olas.
Yeah, that'd be
Will
good.
McClay said he will be glad to. Check with him. He said he would do it.
Maybe Will McClay, maybe a draft pick, maybe fan calls, maybe all the above next week on Hanging with the Boys.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?